Copper Crisper is the amazing crisping fryer that works in your oven. It can transform your oven into a fryer, or can it? That's what I'm going to find out in my review of Copper Crisper. So the first thing the Copper Crisper instructions state to do is to wash it with warm soapy water. So we're going to do that first. What I thought would be a good test is to take the Copper Crisper and see how it performs alongside this $6 crisper that I picked up also at Bed Bath & Beyond. So I think that I'm going to try a couple different tests of both of them in the oven and see how they perform. On the cheap crisper, I'm going to flip half of them and not flip the other half. On the Copper Crisper, I obviously don't have to flip them because that's the whole selling point of the item. So we're going to start with round one, French fries. Alright, I've got 20 fries on each pan. They're supposed to cook at 450 for 12 minutes. I'm going to flip half of the ones on the cheap baking sheet halfway through at 6 minutes and see if there's a difference. If you like to grab your pans by one hand, you might find it a bit awkward trying to get these out of the oven together because you're going to get that kind of thing. So you might have to pick it up one at a time or use two hands to take it out of the oven. Okay, they're out of the oven, and here are the results. I haven't even taken them out of the pans yet. These 10 were flipped halfway through. These were not. You can see they're pretty brown on the bottom. The Copper Crisper were never flipped, and they look pretty even. Oddly, the cheap baking pan, they seem a little browner than the Copper Crisper, possibly because they're touching more of a surface than the mesh basket in the Copper Crisper. But as far as evenness goes, I definitely got to give the advantage to Copper Crisper. Those are more evenly cooked than the ones in the crisper baking pan. So far, Copper Crisper, I think wins round one. Flipped halfway through, not flipped, Copper Crisper. Copper Crisper won round one, but how about something a little bit messier like pizza rolls? Once again, I'm going to do two groups on the control pan, which is these are going to be flipped, and these are going to be not flipped. And the Copper Crisper is just going to remain as is. Put those in there about another 10-12 minutes and see what happens. Round two has begun, and now we wait. Time to flip my control batch of pizza rolls. About 5 or 6 more minutes, and we'll see how these do. As you can see, the pizza rolls in the Copper Crisper stayed together better. They appear to cook more evenly, and there's less spillage. And what spillage there was caught below. Definitely give this one Copper Crisper. Copper Crisper, so far 2-0. Overall, I really have very little to complain about. Maybe the only thing that I do have to complain about is the size. which compared to a medium baking pan, you can see it's significantly smaller. So the size is a bit small. The instructions are terrible. This is all you get. And as far as how to use the product, all it states is always follow specific recipe directions for oven time and temperature. That's it. So they really don't give you a lot of help as far as how to use it. Basically what they're saying is just follow the directions on the package and it should be fine, but that's kind of buried down there. For my third test, I'm going to see how it does with a little bit healthier meal option, such as grilled chicken breast strips. Here's the results of the chicken strip test. These two were flipped halfway through. These were not. And these were in the copper crisper. It almost seems like these need to go in a little longer to get a little bit crispier if that's how you want them. So the results for the chicken strips are maybe a little bit inconclusive, only because I think that it's going to take longer, maybe because it's not directly against a hot surface. So I might put them in a little longer and see if I can get them to be a bit crispier. Okay, I took the chicken strips out. I put them in for an additional 4 minutes. They're only supposed to cook for 10, so that means they've been in there for 14 minutes so far. So let's compare to the original batch that I did for 10 minutes on a regular baking sheet. These were flipped halfway through. These were cooked on one side. And the copper crisper is definitely done, but it's not brown. So it doesn't look like the copper crisper is going to be good if you're wanting to brown something. Not that that's what it's really designed for, but if you had that in mind, it may not be the right option for that kind of cooking. But as far as cooking evenly goes, so far I'm convinced it does a good job. For my test, I tried 3 different foods. I tried French fries, pizza rolls, and I tried grilled chicken strips. Now with the French fries and the pizza rolls, it did a great job. It cooked evenly. In fact, the pizza rolls didn't even spill out of the sides like everybody is used to seeing. The grilled chicken strips are probably not what the copper crisper is designed for, but I wanted to see how some other foods worked in there. It did a pretty good job. It took a little bit longer to cook, perhaps because there's not much of a contact with a flat surface, but you can pretty much make anything in the copper crisper that you could make with a regular baking sheet. Keep it in mind that you have a smaller area to work with. Overall, I think copper crisper performs as advertised. You have a little bit smaller area to work with, but if you're making things like fried foods in the oven, you don't have to turn them and it cooks very evenly. So in that case, I think copper crisper is a good product. If you've used copper crisper, tell me what you think in the comments below, because you might have a different opinion than I do. And if you like this review, I would very much appreciate a subscribe so I can continue to bring you as seen on TV products in the future. Until next time, this is James White, Freakin' Reviews. Thank you.